Hey guys, what's going on? It's Clever Techie. Welcome back. And in this video, we're going to learn how to create a fully functional login system in PHP, including user registration, login, forgot password or reset password functionality, and going to be able to log in here. And we're going to have a profile page, going to be able to log out. And all of that is going to work. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, what you want to do is download the source code for the system. It's included in the description of this video, and it's called login-system.zip. So when you first download it, here's the file that you download, login system. You're gonna go ahead and extract the file into your Apache root directory. And once you extract all the files, you're going to have a login system folder with all the files and source code included. Okay, so all these files, the PHP code is already typed up and the system is basically ready to go. We just need to modify database settings and create the actual database using SQL. But if you prefer to actually type the PHP code yourself, I've included this new folder here. And all these files, they have HTML in them, but they're missing the PHP code. So this is, in my opinion, it's a good way to learn PHP by typing the actual PHP code yourself. So if you want to follow this video and type the code PHP, go ahead and do so by using this folder, this new folder here. Okay, before we move on and create a database and all that, let me just show you something here. If you open up the image folder and click on the login system chart, this chart that I created is going to give you a good overview of how the login system works and where all the files are, what the main functionality of each PHP file is in the system, where the mail is being sent out, and just how the whole system is interacting and how all the PHP files are interacting in the system. Okay, so I've labeled most of the PHP files in yellow so you can see where they are. I also have messages in green. So those are the messages that are going to be displayed, and as you can see for the error and success pages, all they're going to be doing is displaying the error and success messages for us. Now, from the index page, which is the main page, a user can take three actions: register, log in, and they can go to forgot.php page where they reset their password. So for the register, by the way, the gray text is the main functionality of the file. So for the register page, it sends the account verification link, it adds the user to the database, and it generates unique hash. Now you can also see how the files are connected. So from register, they go to profile page, which is where the user is redirected right after registering. And from the profile page, they can go to log out, which is they can just click on a button and they'll be logged out. In green, you can see all the messages are going to be displayed. So for example, on the profile page, you're going to have a account not verified message when the user first registers. And it's also going to display the confirmation link sent message once. Okay, so same way for the login and profile, and you can see here what the login page does. It verifies credentials and sets the login to true, and you can see how that's all connected. Now, the important part here is verify.php and reset.php. And I've gone ahead and labeled them blue because they've been sent through the mail, so they're kind of unique in that way. But I just wanted you to know where they are in the system and how they're connected. So from the register page, you can see that one of the register page functionality is send account verification link. And that's where that's how user will access verify.php from the email message. And in the same way, forgot.php has a send password reset link, and that's how they get to the reset.php page. And from the reset.php page, it's going to have a different form action which will basically direct them to reset_password, which will then make sure the passwords match and update the password in the database. So I've just created this chart. You can look back on it as we move along this video and all the code, so you can see the big picture and how the files are interacted, and hopefully this will clear up some confusion. Okay, so there's also two other files inside the image folder. One of them is MySQL, and this is just a basic review of how the MySQL works, and especially you want to understand sessions. So you want to understand that we start a session with a session start function, and we're able to access session variables on another page, and we can also call session destroy to remove session and unset the session variables, and that's how we're going to be logging out. So make sure you understand how sessions work, because we're going to be using them a lot in this video. Okay, so anyway, once you have all your files, let's go ahead and create the database along with a users table. So there's two ways. First of all, you can open up this SQL file. You can copy this text, go ahead and open up the command prompt and connect to your MySQL. And then you can just right click here to paste the code. I already have this database created, and I have the users table created as well, and I should just go to my PHP MyAdmin, and I'm gonna log in here, go to accounts, and you can see that the my users table is already here. I'm gonna delete this user, and if I go to structure, you can see that all the user fields have been created, which are the main ID, first name, last name, email, password, hash, and active. So that all worked. And an alternative way to create this database and users table is to run this PHP script I've created for you guys. Just make sure to fill out user and password, and then just run the script, and it'll do exactly the same thing. As you can see, it's creating the accounts database here, and it's also creating a users table with all the fields that you just saw from the PHP MyAdmin. Okay, so once you have your database and you have your users table, we're pretty much ready to go. Let's just go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and create a new project in NetBeans. Actually, I already have it created, but I'm gonna delete it so I can show you what's going on. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove this project and file, new project, PHP, next. I'm gonna call the project login system, and under sources folder I'm gonna navigate to localhost login system, select that folder. It's gonna let me know that the project's folder, project sources directory is not empty. That's fine. I'm gonna click finish, and right away it's gonna open the index.php. But first we need to open up the db.php and make sure the username and password are both set. Mine is set, so it's all ready to go. Now I can press Shift F6 to run this, and this is a fully functional form that's going to show up here. So you can go ahead and test this out by registering a user. I'm going to register mine here just to show you what's going on. Just to show you that in fact it works, and it does. It lands me on the profile page, and it's got the confirmation message and the account not verified message, because I haven't verified this account yet. And remember, this is exactly what was showing up on our chart. From the register we went to profile, and on a profile we got these two messages letting us know that the confirmation link has been sent and that the account is not verified. Okay, so that all works. Now let's go behind the scenes and see how the magic happens. Okay, so first of all, we're including the database PHP file, which is our database connection settings. We're also starting a new session so that we can create new session variables. Okay, so down here, not sure why this icon is showing a loading thing, but let's just keep going. Okay, so first of all, we check if the form has been submitted with the method post, and if you look down here, the form action method equals post. So when this file is submitted, it calls itself, and this PHP code is executed because the method is post. Now you can also see here, okay, so if post login is set, then we want to require the code from our login page, which is the login process. And if the post register is set, then we want to include our register.php file, which is the registration process here. Okay, so how does it know about the post login and post register variables? Easy. If we look down here under login form, we have a button named login, and that's how it knows that this variable is set, so it's able to access the post login. And so the same thing for the registration form, is got a button named register down here. Okay, so based on which form is being submitted, we include different code. So let's examine. Oh my god, this icon is really annoying. I don't know why, what's causing this. It's like something is loading. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, okay, so let's examine the register.php first. Okay, so we set all the session variables from our post variables, so that we can use them on the profile page. And then we get ready, we basically use escape string function to escape all of our values, to protect against the SQL injections. And so these are all the values that we're going to be inserting. Now the two that I want to explain are the password and hash variables. Okay, so passwords, for security reasons, passwords can't just be inserted in the MySQL database because that's not secure. So we first must hash the password with a password_hash function, which takes in the parameter. For the parameter 1, it takes in the raw password that user entered, and then this is the algorithm it's going to use called password bcrypt, which is gonna what it's gonna do is create a random string out of the password, and that way it'll be secure. Also, we want to generate a new hash key, which is going to take in one function called rand, and this function is going to generate a number between 0 and 1000, and then it's going to use MD5 to generate a unique hash from that number. Okay, so if I output the password variable here and hash, then I'm just going to terminate the script. I'm going to click save. I just want to show what these two variables look like, so you can just quickly understand what's happening. So enter something random here, random password. Okay, so these are the two variables. This is our password, and this is our unique hash key. And as you can see, they're just a bunch of random letters and numbers. And you're going to find out what the hash is for later on as we verify the account and reset the password. We're going to use that a lot. And basically, this is a safe way to store the password inside our database. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and go back to register, delete this. Okay, so next, check if the user with that email already exists. Obviously, we want to check if the user already exists before registering them. So we run a simple query, select from users where email equals our email, and this result is going to be the result object, and it's going to have a property of num_rows. Now, if the num_rows is greater than 0, then immediately we're going to know that the user with that email already exists. And if that's true, we're just going to say, we're going to set the session message, and we're going to say user with that email already exists and redirect them to the error page. And at that point, the script ends. Okay, and the reason we're able to connect to the database and use our session on this page without including them up here is because we've already included them on the main index page. And since the register.php page is being included from the index page, then we no longer need to include it here we no longer need to include database and session start here because it's already been done, and it's like register page is already here on the index page. Okay, so let's move on here. If the user doesn't exist, then we want to create an insert query or insert SQL to insert all of our variables into the database, and this is exactly what we're doing here. Now, since the active is 0 by default, we're not gonna include it here. It's gonna do it by itself. Then we're gonna run the query by using the query method of MySQL, and this is the SQL that we're inserting. And if that goes all well, then we want to set session variables like active equals 0 because, well, because the user, a newly registered user, hasn't activated their account yet, so we're just going to set that to 0. And then the logged in, we're going to set to true because the user is going to be logged in. And for the message, we're going to say that confirmation message link that we saw earlier. Okay, so once that's done, we're just going to need to send the email, a verification email to the user, which is this down here. And basically, the mail function is what does all the magic. Takes in a parameter 2, which is the email where we're going to be sending our message, which is going to be the user's email, subject, account verification from Clever Techie, and the message body is going to contain our link. And you want to make sure to change this URL here if you're going to make it work on your computer or wherever you have uploaded the script to. But here's the magic part. Verify.php, as you remember from the chart again, verify PHP is right here. And it's accessed through send account verification link, which is exactly what's happening here. And we also include email and hash variables in the URL by specifying email and hash, and then the actual variables that we have for the user. Okay, so that's how it's gonna verify. That's going to have the verify PHP URL in the email message, and then we just redirect the user to the profile page. Now, here is what the actual verification is going to look like. So, hello Vladdy, thank you for signing up. Please click this link to activate your account, and then this is the verify.php with email vladdy@clevertechie.com and hash, which is the unique hash. And if I click on it, it's going to say success, your account has been activated. Now if I go home and I relog in, now it says your account has been activated, and the annoying message about account activation is no longer showing up, so I can go ahead and log out, and the logout also works. So that's all cool, it's all working. Let's go back to coding now, and let's actually examine the verify.php now. Okay, so here we're requiring the database and starting a session, and now what we're doing here is we're making sure that the email and hash variables are set and that they're not empty. So those are the variables that are being passed along in the verify link. So if we just accessed, we just want to make sure that somebody's not doing something like this. You know, if they just enter the verify PHP, we want to redirect them to the error page, and I'm going to say invalid parameters provided for the account verification, which is the message here, and this message is happening because the variables are empty. Okay, anyway, moving on. If the variables are in fact set, then we want to escape them for security purposes, and then we want to check if the user with the email and that unique hash, that's what the hash is for. If the email matches the unique hash, which is stored in a database, and the active status is 0, then if the result equals 0, then the user has already been activated, or something went wrong, so we want to display an error message. But if the rows is not equal 0, well, it's going to be, if it's not equal 0, then we want to say your account has been activated because our query has been successful. And then we want to set the active, we want to update the database and set the active to 1, where the email equals our user email. And then we also want to set the session active to 1 as well, because we don't want to be showing any messages about account activation upon successful account activation. Okay, so if we look at the database here, and I go to browse, and this is the user that I've just registered, so you can see that a user has an email, password, and the unique hash. So when we match the hash, which is the unique number here, and email, we ensure that this user is in fact trying to activate their account, and then we set active to 0 to 1. So this is what this code is doing here. So hopefully you can see where the hash, what the hash is for. It's a unique string, and we're matching it with the email to make sure that we're in fact verifying that user that wants to be verified. Okay, so anyway, then we redirect to the success page, and that completes the verification process for our user. Now let's move on and look at the login. Okay, so in case our login form has been submitted, this is the login page. So the first thing we're doing here is we're basically setting the email variable, and we're escaping it before running a SQL query on it. And we want to check if the user already with that email exists before logging them in, because if they don't exist, well, we don't want to log them in. So if the result returned num rows equals 0, then we want to say user with that email doesn't exist. If it's not equal to 0, then the user exists. So here what we're doing is we're storing the user data inside of a user array. So if I go ahead and print out the user array, let's see what it's going to look like. Here I'm just going to try to log in with my email and password. Okay, so this is the array with all the user data, and as you can see, it's got all the keys like ID, first name, last name, email, password, hash, and active status. So that's awesome. Now we're ready to work with this user array, and that's where all these variables come from here, including email, first name, last name, and active. So basically that happens by calling a fetch associative function. So it's fetching the from the result that's returned. Result is an object, and the fetch associative returns that object and puts it into associative array, and that's exactly what our user variable becomes. It becomes an associative array with all the data, with all the user data in it. Okay, moving on here, we verify the password with a password verifier function, and what it does, it just matches the two passwords together. So we make sure that the password entered equals user's password, which lives inside the database. Then we set all the session variables that we're going to display on the profile page upon successful login, like user email, first name, last name, and also the active status. We also set the session logged in to true so that we know the user has been logged in, and finally we redirect them to the profile page. If the password entered has been wrong, by the way, so if this if statement fails, else you have entered wrong password, redirect to error page. So that's the functionality for the for logging in. Just gonna go ahead and log in here and refresh the page, and now we're showing first name, last name, and email, and we also have a log out here. Okay, so that works. Now let's keep going here. And okay, so that's the registration, login, and account verification. Okay, so the error page and the success page, I just want to show you this real fast. Okay, so the error page, all it's doing is displaying all the error messages, and the success page has exactly the same code with the exception that its title is success and the heading is success. And in the error page, its title is error and its heading is error. And all it's doing is displaying a session message, and we first make sure that the session message is set, it's not empty, and if it's empty, we just simply redirect back to the home page. So that's the functionality of error and success.php, and again, this is exactly what we have here on the chart. Okay, finally, let's go through the password reset functionality, starting with the forgot.php page, which is where the user lands after clicking on a forgot password link. It sends them to the forgot.php page, which asks them for the email address. And again, this is the first step here. Forgot.php, send password reset link. And then once the password link has been sent, the user is going to end up on the reset.php page. And that's the functionality of our forgot.php page. So it's going to send this reset.php link through the URL in the email as a link. Okay, so we require a database. We start the session variable. We make sure the form has been submitted with a post, and then we set our email variable and escape it from the post which has been submitted. Then we make sure that the user exists by running a simple SQL statement. Select from users where email equals email, which has been entered in the form, which has been entered in this form. Okay, so we make sure the user exists. If they don't, we want to redirect them to the error page. If the user exists, then we do the same thing. We store the user inside of a associative array called user, and then we have all our variables. So we just set all these variables because it just makes it easier to read. Next, we set the session message to display on the success.php page, and it's going to say, please check your email for a confirmation link to complete your password reset. Okay, so we're going to do this right now. I'm going to enter my email. I'm going to click reset, and it redirected us to the page with this, please check your email for the confirmation link message. So this is our session message, and then on the success page, we're displaying the session message on our success page here because that's where we're redirecting next after all this code is completed. And the final part here is, of course, the email, which again uses the mail function, takes in the parameter to subject and message body, and this is where our URL for the reset is being constructed. So again, make sure you replace this part with your own URL. And then here's the reset.php so that we can direct the user to the reset.php page. Again, just like we saw in the chart here. And it's going to have two parameters again, just like in the account verification. It's going to have an email and hash so that we know the correct user is trying to reset their password. So that's it for the forgot.php. Now let's look at reset. Let's see what happens on the reset page. Okay, again, we require the database. We start the session, and then we make sure that the email and hash variables are set, because if they're not set, then something is not right. Okay, so once we make sure that those two variables are in fact set, and these variables are being set right here in this part of the URL, we then want to escape email and hash for security purposes to protect against SQL injection. And now we make sure the user email with a matching hash exists, just like we did for the account verification. So this should look familiar. We again run this query to make sure the email is matching the hash. And then if they don't match, then we want to redirect to the error page, and you want to say you have entered invalid URL for password reset. If it's successful, if these variables are not set, then we want to say sorry, verification failed, try again. So basically all this code here, basically it's gonna fail if any of this is true here inside of this. Okay, so next, so basically we don't want this happening here. We want to make sure that our num rows is equal 1. So if it's equal 1, if it's not equal to 0, then it's not going to redirect us to the error page. And if these variables are not empty, it's not going to redirect us to error page again. And the code is just going to continue executing, so we're going to see our reset.php form. Okay, let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to go ahead and okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the email and click on the link. So I've got the email with the password reset. As you can see, it's got the reset.php here. So this is the form that the user is going to see if everything went well. So I'm going to pick a new password, 12345 and I'm going to put it confirmation password and click apply. And now it's supposed to redirect us to the reset.password.php. Let's see why it's empty though. Okay, so I figured out what the problem was. It was in this SQL statement. It was a little bit wrong. So now I've corrected the SQL statement and it works. Basically, it redirected to the success page and your password has been reset successfully. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and just play around with the system, see how it all works, and make sure everything is working. And be sure to set the proper Apache mail settings before testing out the PHP mail function in order for that to work. And just refer back to this chart here if you get lost, to see how the whole system works and just to see the big picture. Alright, you guys, please like and share this video with your friends. Clever Techie out.